Morning, good afternoon, good evening. I don't know what time it is where you are, but right now it's time for more insight. This is insight you can trust because there is more where it came from. I'm your host, Chris Moore. Today with me, I have a special guest in the building. Oh yeah, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you comment, make sure you do all that good stuff. We're trying to grow a community, and you know I'm big into stories. And today we have a special guest who has a tremendous story, and we're going to definitely tap into it. Some stories are written, others are lived. Spencer Paysinger is both. From walking into the NFL as an undrafted rookie, he walked out with a Super Bowl ring. He went from studying economics to now studying scripts in Hollywood. He went from being the inspiration behind All American to building more street productions to tell the story that Hollywood ignores. And now he's co-creating Higher Valley with Jelani Jenkins to elevate purpose over platform. Spencer has proved that life after football is not an ending, it's just a remix. And today, we get the insight behind the man, the mission, and the moves. Spencer, welcome to More Insight. How you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I appreciate you jumping on with me. First of all, I want to give you your flowers. I want to give you all your credit, your props. The way that you've maneuvered from your playing days to now being in Hollywood has been tremendous. And this is actually my second intro of you. My first intro of you was by playing Madden because I remember you being on the Giants. So I
Yeah.
remember when All American dropped, and I did the research. And I'm like, who is this story about? And it said your name. I said, oh, I remember him from Madden. And then my
I was
second,
probably like a 60, a 75 maybe
it
or
was
something.
definitely around that
I'm
area.
very realistic with my playing career. I was hovering like somewhere mid 70s or so.
All good, man. And then my second interaction, my second way I came to discover you, it was actually in 2019. It was a Saturday night at 11 p.m. I was on Netflix and I started watching All American. I did not go to sleep until 9 o'clock the next morning because I found myself.
It got you.
It caught me because I was like, what is this show about? What is happening? And then it just grabbed me. So then I did my research and I just followed the show even up until now. But before we get into the show and everything, I want to know, and you're the perfect person to ask this current chapter of your life, if it were to have a movie title, what would the name of this movie be?
Ooh. I mean, for me, it'll probably be something like Family Man or
Mhm.
My Wife and Kids. I can redo My Wife and Kids after we're done with All American because
Hey man, it's one of my favorite
yeah,
shows. So if you
it's
need
mine
somebody
too.
to be like a PA or a consultant, I got you.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I modeled. Obviously, you take a lot from the TV dads
Mhm.
growing up. You got Fresh Prince, you got Uncle Phil, you got Family Matters, you got all these like iconic fathers that have essentially helped raise us. And I always said Michael Kyle, and so Damon Wayans, Michael Kyle, and My Wife and Kids was the closest representation of a father that I would want to be. So now that I'm in this era where like I have a daughter that's 8 years old, as you can see, my son is 6, just moved into a new home, and like my entire life is in boxes right now. So, definitely entering. I've been in that phase of making sure the kids are straight, making sure work is moving along and projects are going and whatnot. But overall, like just trying to be as much in the pocket as possible with these kids, and creating a future for them despite everything going on right now. So
Let me ask you this. Because you're a father and because of how you were raised, Black people were not a monolith. So going from a traditionally public school to an ultra suburban prep academy, did they give you a better appreciation for the range of experiences that you've gathered? And how has that shown up in your adult life and as a father?
yeah, absolutely. So I often say that going to Beverly Hills High School at the time that I did. So I was a freshman. I walked on campus in 2002. What people don't know, and this is what we changed within All American, is my uncles and my father were actually football coaches at Beverly Hills High School. So it's weird because my mom and all her brothers and sisters went to Crenshaw, and my dad and all his brothers went to Beverly Hills. They were part of like one of the first sort of like exchange programs within Los Angeles that brought Black kids into these predominantly white areas. So my uncles and my dad, they have coached there for X amount of years. And so I was a ball boy at Beverly Hills High School when I was a kid. So, but Sarah had to say, I was only really there like on Fridays and like sometimes in the summer, like just helping out with fall camp stuff. So I've been around Beverly Hills football in general from a young age, but to experience the culture shock, to like be in education with other cultures and ethnicities and socioeconomic backgrounds, for me personally, as a 13-year-old walking onto that campus, was one of the best decisions that my parents, put me through, because it allowed me at a very young age to understand that things are so much more deeper than skin tone, than what's on top. Now, considering what's happening in the world right now with so much division and whatnot, I do find that me and my friends that I still keep in touch with, that we all experienced Beverly at that time. It's like a really close knit type of or collective of like young Black kids that all grew up South Central, View Park, Ladera Heights, and whatnot. Um, we feel like we can understand the perceived struggle of people on that side of the tracks, as opposed to just being like, oh, they're privileged, they don't understand, they don't have any type of like feelings or empathy or whatnot. Like, we feel like we can go deeper on it because we were exposed to that at such a young age.
Man, you are cooking. There's so much into that. Because we also see, like like you said earlier, with Fresh Prince of Bel Air, we're seeing someone who came from Philadelphia and was into the Bel Air Prep Academy. And to see the growth in Will Smith as a character, because
Hmm.
he's exposed to these different experiences. And also, even when we look at Bel Air, same thing. So to see that, again, Black people, we're not a monolith, but to see us grow because of the environments that we're in, it just reminds me that you only do better when you know better. And because when
Exactly.
you're familiar with
Exactly.
things, when you get to know things, that's when you become a better human being. Can you
Hmm.
speak a little bit more about what it was like for you as a student being in those
Hmm.
environments? Was there any pressure on you that you felt?
Yeah, and just to go back, just real quick, and I always feel compelled to say this whenever the casual person that's watching All American could perceive that Beverly Hills opened up doors for me or opened up the world for me in such a way that I would not have gotten where I was from. And although, like, to a certain extent, that is true, my grandparents were the main force in kicking down those doors for me. Like, my grandparents, my grandmother specifically, was the reason why my father and his brothers were able to get into a program that allowed them to go to Beverly Hills back in the 70s. So then when it was time for, like, even when I was born, my grandparents literally gave the house that my father grew up in, gave it to my father so he can raise his family, and moved into Ladera Heights, which, if you don't know, if people listening don't know, Ladera Heights is one of the richest Black neighborhoods per capita in the country. It is the equivalent of what the West Side is in Los Angeles, what Santa Monica, what these neighborhoods that are largely synonymous with Los Angeles for years. And it's kind of being broken down a bit, and gentrified a little bit, considering like things like Insecure really showcased our area: Windsor Hills, View Park, Baldwin Hills. But I got to see a better life through my grandparents. It wasn't necessarily, and I always believe I was going to get where I was going to go. Beverly just maybe like supercharged that, but I was going to get where I was going to go based on like what my family instilled in me. But to answer your question about the experience as a student, yeah, I mean, I think there was pressure because the school was 2% Black. So, and most of us play sports in general. But I will say, just giving flowers to that collective, like, Black student that was at Beverly between, it was like a golden era between like 1999 and maybe like 2012, if that. To see Black students, become their full selves, that wasn't necessarily, being the sports person. Like, I had friends that were in the band, that were in theater, that were in art, photography, that were in drama classes, that were, studying to be cooks and chefs and all that type of stuff. The fact that we all really banded together and didn't really shun anybody for being other or being different, because we all knew that we were collectively, there was only 2% of us. Like, the punk rock Black kid was hanging out with like the hard bodies on the football team. Like, it
Yeah.
was just that type of community. So when I talk about pressure at Beverly, there was there was pressure for me One from my family, because again, the Paysingers have been at Beverly Hills High School since like essentially the 70s. Like the weight room is named the Paysinger family weight room. That's how like entrenched we were at one point in that school. But the pressure for me was to one, never bring shame on my last name. Like that's one thing that my family, like they instilled on us is like, do not have us out here looking crazy. Don't bring shame to our last name. Like make sure you carry that shit with pride, with honor, and make sure like you're carrying the flag that we carry. Now, from a like an academic standpoint, at the time the school was very rigorous. Like so by the time I got to college, when I saw the syllabi and stuff, I was like, oh, this is all we got to do. There's only 4 assignments this entire quarter. Oh, bad. I'm about to lock these out right now. And
Yeah.
it was really cool because we were put in a college system at a young age. So it allowed us to like our level of output, level of production was on par with college students when I was 13, 14, 15, and so on. There was societal pressure because you don't want to like be the black kid that fucked up at Beverly. Sorry if I'm cursing.
You good?
There was that pressure, but for me, it was recognizing that, oh, this is an opportunity to that a lot of kids from where I'm from don't usually get. So I'm gonna definitely try to like capitalize on this, which eventually I did by scholarship and then having the career that I have within sports and beyond.
So, in going to school, you go from Beverly, and then you go to Oregon. You have a degree in economics. How did you pivot into Hollywood?
Yeah. So man, it's such a crazy story because to go back on the economics of it all, like my first major, I was an art student. Like I grew up drawing and painting, and I won art competitions as a kid. And I always thought that I was going to do something either in like canvas, touching paint, doing all that type of stuff. I gotta tell you, man, like them 3 hour art history classes broke me down. It's 100 people in a class. We're not touching the canvas. We're not designing. We're just listening to the history of like art that at the time I wasn't really interested in. So I ended up switching over. I went to my advisor and I was like, "Yo, what else can I do?" And she was like, "Well, it seems like you're always good with numbers. You like to see how the world works." Because at that time I had done a lot of like internships and job shadowing. I was always that interested kid that was like, "Oh, that dude's doing some business over there. I want to like meet with him just to understand his world." Just on some like, I just like the cogs of the world. So at the time, my advisor was like, well, you've actually taken like 2 or 3 extra economics and business classes. So you actually, if you were to switch your major to economics, you're actually like almost 2 semesters ahead as an economics major passively. So I was like, as a football player, knowing that my body's beat down, I'm in practice for like 2, 3 hours every morning, and then I gotta like limp to class, the opportunity to be ahead in something out the gate, I was like, yeah, switch me to that. That's how I became an econ major, just understanding how the world worked, like understanding numbers, like cogs in the machines. And this is at a time when the housing market crash happened in like 2007, 2008. So we were getting a lot of real time assessments and stuff that were happening. So that was a very interesting time to be in college. But then TV and film just became this thing entering the NFL where like that first off day being in New York by myself, kind of homesick, body beat up, mind tired from learning all the new defenses, I was like, man, I'm going to the movies. And I'd always gone to the movies. The other uncle that instilled my love for TV and film, like that's what he did for me. I had 2 uncles and my father that were like the sports guys, but then their brother was like the eccentric other that was like TV and film. Let's go to the movies. So that had always been in me to go see every movie, to just like, even if you don't really care for it, just go see a movie to understand like that you might be something you get from it. Man, when I went to the movies for that first off day, that it changed my life. I saw 3 movies that day. I was almost late to curfew that night, which I probably would have been kicked off the team. But that's what made me go, oh, okay, this is like something that's helping my mental health. Like I was able to forget football for these 3, 4 hours and just dive into a story with my popcorn, my water and stuff. And for 7 years, every Tuesday, I would go see a new movie in theaters because it was like a ritual for me. If I the off chance I didn't go see a movie, I felt off throughout that week. So I'm like, oh, I didn't do that thing. That thing like started going to the movies, like started my week. That was like my cup of coffee for the morning, aka the week. So that's how I got into it. Like little by little, I just started understanding story structure, which led me to reading books about story structure, which led me to reading scripts, watching movies with a different perspective, asking questions. I really galvanized the Giants at the time to put me in front of people that they are connected to in TV and film. Like I got in front of Steve Tisch, who's part owner of the Giants,
Yeah.
and executive, like big wig. Like his family has this film school at
Yeah.
NYU. Like
Hmm.
big stuff. He got me in front of Todd Black, who is Denzel Washington's like main producer. He's produced pretty much all his films alongside Denzel. So it was just being this like inquisitive kid since I was a kid that I just kept up throughout the NFL of like, I'm gonna allow football to be the main thing, but I do have off time. I do have off season. Like I can do these things to not even at that time advance my career, but just like be interested in just doing something different. So
I'm drawing so much inspiration just from those pieces of the mental health aspect. And then how you said how this one simple thing essentially became a passion, how it became more than just a hobby, it became a
absolutely.
livelihood in a sense. I hope that the people that are watching this, I hope that wakes up a sleeping giant that's inside of them, and then they can actually follow these steps as well. Um, Let me ask you this: when All American was first greenlit, did you honestly see it lasting this long? I know we're coming up on the last season. Did you imagine 8 seasons?
No, what's crazy is when we pitched, I believe, a 4 to 6 season arc. We were like, because there are certain markers within TV that, and this is the industry has changed maybe 2 or 3 times since I've even been in it since like 2018. So when I say this, it's just not the same as what it is now. But like if you get to season 2, there's a high likelihood you're going to get to season 4. If you get to season 4, season 5 is kind of baked in. And then season 6, you're kind of playing with house money anytime beyond that. So we knew we pitched a solid 4 season arc. We also had notes about what 6 seasons would look like. But then after 6 seasons, it was like, all right, what could we do? That's so far down the road. That's so crazy to even think that a
Man,
studio will allow us to go this far. We'll get to it when we get to it. But then, when CW got sold and a lot of shakeup, happening in the industry, around season 5 is when it was like, okay, like let's start making sure that if push comes to shove, we can land this plane our way and not get like cut down from
there you go.
budget cuts or whatever. So that's why you saw within season 5, season 6, we started tailoring down the main characters to make sure that if push comes to shove, at a moment's notice, if they want to cancel us, we will know how to pivot the story to give our characters a proper send off. So the fact that they've allowed us to go 8 seasons, and at the start of this season, they were like, thank you, but this is going to be the last one. We were like, okay, well, we've been playing with house money for 2 years. And and that's not to say that we've been mailing it in by any chance, but like allowing us to essentially have our second generation be able to tell the story. And even with Homecoming, allowing Homecoming to run for 3 seasons, and like fingers crossed, there might be some stuff coming up down the road that can like expand the All American universe as well. But the fact that we've gone 8 seasons is like, I I think it's going to take me some time to really process how much of a blessing this has been,
Yes.
and just an opportunity to transition the way I transitioned out of the NFL, which is largely reported to be one of the most difficult things for athletes to do is to separate themselves from the game. So I had something that, in an amazing way, allowed me a softer landing out of football.
I'm so
So
glad that you said, process what these 8 seasons has been, because so many times as men, black men, I'll say even, that we're looking so forward to the next thing that we don't appreciate the moment that we're in. I
mhm.
hear people talk about it all the time that, for instance, Steve Harvey, when he was talking about the Kings of Comedy, he said we had no clue what we were doing, so we didn't really
Mhm.
understand everything until years later. And now they look back on it and it's like, man, we really should have enjoyed that more. So I
Yeah.
I really hope that you just sit and just and bask in that, because what you did with All American and the spinoff with All American Homecoming, um, absolute TV gold. All American Homecoming was definitely one of my favorite shows. I tell people all the time, if you want to see a different world in today's generation, watch All American Homecoming. So I don't know if that was
Absolutely.
the basis of it. I don't know if that was the foundation of it, but I felt
Well,
like that's the
it's
different world 2.0.
1,000%. And A Different World is one of those shows that has largely built the
Mhm,
millennial Black experience. You know,
for
it
sure.
defined what college could look and feel like for our generation and the generations before us and even coming after us. Like me and my wife still watch Different World like reruns at night to like wind down, like Living Single, like those type of shows that will always be in our ethos. So when Nkechi Okoro, our showrunner for All American and for All American Homecoming, that was her. Like as much as like people want to give me credit for, like that was an idea that was from the mind of a amazingly talented creative in Nkechi Okoro, and it was rooted in the idea of like like the Black experience in college is arguably it's the only time in most young Black men and women's lives that they're going to be in a predominantly Black system that has so many different Black experiences all in one spot. Unfortunately, the only other time you get people like that from so many different backgrounds is when like now we're talking about the prison industrial complex. So the fact that we were able to be a spoke in the wheel, and I talk about this a lot of that wheel's going to keep turning in terms of TV and film and what's coming out and whatnot. For All American specifically, when we were ideating on what this really could be, our goal was to stand next to the Friday Night Lights, the
Yes.
Dawson's Creeks, the Gilmore Girls, like those. I think Gilmore Girls is a teen show, like
Yeah, it is.
Beverly Hills 90210, like those shows that defined a teen experience for a generation of teen at that time. We felt like one Spencer James and then the amazing cast that we've had were going to be able to actively define the young, diverse teen experience in America between, let's say, 2017 and now, which, when you look at it, like A Different World talked about a lot of real shit. Like there's some stuff in Different World that still hits harder than anything that's come out
Oh,
since
fact.
in such medium. Like, when Kadeem Hardison is talking about when he's going up against Dean Cain in the prison, talking about how his family like built this country, he can't even get a cup of coffee. It's like the way he delivered that, I've never seen a moment in TV that hits harder about that specific topic in a way that it was distilled. So it's like for us, like I said, that world is going to keep spinning. Like there's going to be other TV shows that attempt to like get to the levels that a Friday Night Lights or those type of shows get to. We wanted to be another spoke in the wheel that between the years of 18 to 2025, you can't really talk about TV and the teen experience without mentioning All American, because we feel like we did a good job showing that the teens in that era were fed up and were like carving out the life for themselves earlier than I would say like our generation did.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple more questions about All American, and I promise you we're going to transition. This is
Yeah.
just so many questions that I've had in my mind over the last few years. Um, when you think about All American, um, how do you see parallels between the show and what you actually lived through? And where did they use a little bit of poetic license, if you will?
Yeah. And that's it's great that you asked that, because I always say like the show is inspired by my life. The show is not it is not my life. Like
Right.
everything that Spencer James went through is not in total what I went through. We were able to pull, so that the process of creating a network TV show, because a network TV show is different than a cable TV show, it's different than a streaming TV show. A network TV show has to appeal to that 13-year-old white girl and that like 55-year-old Black man. Like that, it's just like such a wide demographic that you have to make sure you're hitting on these different points. So what we did was like the sauce really became, especially in those early years, I'm sitting in the writer's room with, 8 to 10 amazing writers, and we're just talking about stories. I'm bringing about stories of my past, they're bringing stories about their past, and we're like, okay, well, this is a good story. How can we fit it within our world? It was really like bringing these stories that myself, our showrunner, our writer and stuff, our other writers lived, and making it a way in which it would be lived in with our characters. When it comes to the stories that we decided to tell, it did get to the point where we were like, so much has happened. Like, mind you, like we aired in 2018. This is like peak. This is peak first term Trump. Like this is we're going through COVID. This is that time when people are looking for a little bit of escapism or just like wanting to like connect with something on TV that they're feeling like. So we really got into our bag, like finding stories around the country and news clippings and articles and whatnot, and being like, how can we bring that into our world? So in those first couple seasons, like there are definitely stories that like, I did like people were asking me like, yo, are you a Crip or Blood when I was at Beverly? Like there are stories of me going to like parties. Like one of my teammates, me and my brother's teammates was like, he was like the Prince of Indonesia. Like when they redid Toontown in Disneyland, he bought one of the tree houses and put it in his backyard. So it's like, but then you have that experience, and then like you're driving home, and like, me and my little brother are sleeping in the same bedroom, and I just came from like a whole party like in essentially Toontown. So it's just playing into the idea that having one foot in both worlds and not necessarily knowing like how you fit in each one was our central thesis to All American. Like we were telling the story of the universal truth, I always say, of an outsider in a new world, which again, going back to that 13-year-old white girl or that 55-year-old black man, no matter who you are, the universal truth is you know what it feels like to be an outsider in a new world. You've experienced that at some point in your life. And that's essentially what we were trying to tell with All American.
When you say that, my favorite All American episode, favorite one ever, Spencer Got Somewhere to Be. And by the time that episode ended, I was
Mm-hmm.
literally at the TV like tears were like coming down my
Yeah.
eyes because the
Yeah.
writing was just amazing, because I didn't see how it ended. Like I didn't see that being the ending. So kudos to all of you all who were sitting in that writing room, everyone who's at that table read, every actor who's a part of the episode, and the cast, of course, for all the seasons. But that particular episode, Spencer Got Somewhere to Be, that's the one that pulled my heartstrings.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And again, like I try as much as possible when I'm on platforms like this to give our flowers to our showrunner, our writers. Yes, I may be like the face / like mascot of the show, but the show does not. It's not what it is unless you have a like Phoenix like NK leading the ship as our showrunner. Guys like Johnny Norris, like Carrie Gutenberg, like Mike Harrell. I'm just naming writers that have helped build our show in such a way. And even Johnny Norris, if you guys haven't seen Motorheads on Amazon Prime, Johnny Norris to me is one of the best writers in all of Hollywood, and we were fortunate enough to have him for, I believe, 5.5 seasons maybe. And he ended up selling Motorheads to Amazon, and he left our show and actually has about like 3 or 4 of the original All American writers writing on that show. And I know it got canceled. They're trying to sell it right now, take it to another place right now, but if you want like a similar All American story with a different look and feel to it, like Motorheads, Johnny Norris he's one of the best in town in building those type of worlds.
Got it. Let's transition to More Street Productions. Give me the idea behind it, and what gaps are you trying to fill with your own storytelling?
Yeah, I mean, with Higher Valley, so this is a podcast that me and my good friend, former teammate Jelani Jenkins started, and it was bred out of just the various conversations that we have as fathers, loving fathers, present fathers, loving husbands, present husbands. He lives in Maryland with his wife and 2 kids. Obviously, I'm in Los Angeles with my wife and 2 kids, and it's we're intentionally vulnerable with each other in
Yes.
when it comes to our mental state, our physical state, what's on our schedule. And like it's nothing for me to call him or text him and be like, hey man, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not feeling too well today. And he'll call me, or when he lived in LA, he'll pull up It's things like that, and I've been able to foster a really dope community of fathers that I believe if I did call them and say, yo, I'm not feeling the best, whatever, like it's nothing for them to pull up and be like, yo, let's go for a walk, let's talk, let's like chop it up, let's watch a game. And so it was really born through one, that need for a community amongst like-minded men, but it was also kind of going against this like weird bro culture, this like incel culture that has made it cool to hate on women, to think women are the enemy for some sense. I'm like, man, I was born 1988. I'm 37 years old. At no time have I ever looked at a woman as an enemy. Have always been in service of them and trying to attract them and like trying to be the person that I feel like I need to be to make them safer or to make them like, so it's like it was a want to go against this weird time that we're in where the younger generation is so malleable right now in terms of who's guiding their perspective, that whether you, I don't we're not trying to be like shock jocks. We're not trying to like say the crazy thing to get the most comments and whatnot. And if we never become the greatest podcast or one of the top 10 podcasts, whatever, that's fine. But what we're seeking to do is add to the conversation, add a bit of calm to the conversation of going like, no, no, you know, grown man, the guy that's a father, the guy that's a husband, the guy that is, has a building career, who's still aspirational, who doesn't want to lose himself only being a father and a husband. He's still out there trying to get it for his own needs and his own mental clarity. Like we want to be that calm in the storm, because it's real right now. Like we're being asked, like time is speeding up. We're being asked like so much output and there's not enough calm for us. And that's the intention behind Higher Valleys. Is like, yo, like come on this ride for us. Come have conversations and know that like, we're gonna crack jokes, we're gonna make fun of each other and everything, but
Sure.
it's all love at the end of the day.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you said that. So for those who are watching, discover that Spencer and I have the same birthday.
Oh yeah.
I have a 2 year edge on him. I'm 39. He's 37. But I found in my later years, like in these 30s, I'll say, that the need for good brothers in your life is absolutely essential. So, like you have Jelani, I have 3 friends. We actually have a group chat. There's not a day that doesn't go by that we don't check in and say what's up.
Absolutely.
What you're doing with Higher Valley, I absolutely love it, and I wish the best for you. And that again, I'm so inspired because that's why I started More Insight. Um, I wanted to get more into stories. I wanted to get more into who people are, because athletes are just what you do, but it's not who you are. You're more than just an
Yeah.
athlete.
Yeah.
Shouts out to LeBron James. So kudos to you for that. Kudos to what you and Jelani are doing. I remember Jelani as well with the Miami Dolphins. I have a good recall when it comes to sports and stuff. I
Yeah.
remember
I was his
playing with him on
backup.
Madden as well.
I met the Giants. The Giants brought me in to be his backup, and we have this funny relationship because like we damn near split the same amount of time there because his knee. I'm getting up on you, Jelani. If you listen to this, I'm talking shit about you, man. But like his knee would always blow up, and I'm like, dog, I came here to be the backup. I'm getting paid backup money to be a starter. Like, what we doing
Right.
right now?
What are we doing?
Yeah, but like, yeah, me and Jelani we've been friends since we essentially first drove to the stadium together in that first game of the season. He was at a time when he was trying to decide. He was like, "Yo, is my girlfriend the right one?" And now his wife
Man.
Stephanie. Shout out
Yeah.
to Stephanie. And at that time, I had just got engaged to my now wife Blair. So a lot of those early conversations between me and him did stem from NFL players attempting to define what it's like to be like loving husbands at this time. We didn't have kids at this time. It's very easy for an NFL player to like live that life and be in and of that life and, chase after girls and have girls chase after you and be that person. Jelani was one of the few people that I met in the NFL that wasn't chasing that. So the conversations from the beginning were always deeper. And we've just been able to keep that dialogue up over, I've known him now, it's actually 10 years. Yeah, it's 10. This is our 10th year knowing each other. So the fact that we've gone from teammates into like fathers and husbands together, um, and haven't lost ourselves in the process is the basis of higher values.
Everything happens for a reason. There was a reason why you were drafted to the Giants. There's a reason
Hmm.
why you were associated with that particular team, because you were able to meet the owner and get established in front
Absolutely.
of people's faces to where you are now. It's a reason why, you know, you got that connection with Jelani and here you are now. So all in all, to God be the glory, man, because
Absolutely.
it's just
Absolutely.
amazing how things happen. Let me ask you this. Now that your story has been adapted, now that More Street Productions is going, now that Higher Valley is rolling, you guys are going. Where are you now with developing or pitching shows beyond All American?
Yeah, my slate is drowning me at times. We have TV shows we're pitching, we have movies we're pitching, we have movies we're up to do rewrites for. I'm actively in grad school right now. I went back and I'm going to get
Congrats.
a master's in thank you, and it's an entertainment and leadership management program at LMU. It's a 1 year program, and even that was for something that I just wanted to sharpen my tools in this industry. Now that it's changed so many times since I've even been in it. So when it comes to like where we're at with it, like we're across the board, scripted, unscripted. We have game shows, we have features, we have biopics, we have like we're across the board, and it's in a fun way because we haven't pigeonholed ourselves
Yeah.
into only being able to do one thing. So a lot of what I write does lean into sports. You know, I'm actively pitching a college sports series right now that follows an athletic director that is trying to like keep pace in this world of NIL, and that's largely in the vein of Billions, of House of Cards, of industry, those type of like elevated concepts for streaming and cable. Working on a Steelers film right now about an unknown but very important scout in the NFL named Bill Nunn,
Yes.
he's the only black man in the Hall of Fame that hadn't played the sport.
Hmm.
He's in the Hall of Fame as a contributor. So just you can imagine how important he was to the game if the game honored him in such a way and he never touched the field. So yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff does lean football. I want to get more into my comedy bag because I just have like funny takes when it comes to sports and all this type of stuff. So you might see some of that coming down the pipe soon. But for the most part, like yeah, if I'm not interviews or whatever, I'm either doing homework, I'm with my kids and my wife, or I'm producing at school and or other. So
Man,
yeah.
I love it. I love it. There's also another venture that you haven't talked about. You're also a co-owner of Hilltop. Do you want to give some
Yes.
information about that?
Yeah, so Hilltop Coffee and Kitchen, we had five locations in Los Angeles, in and around Los Angeles, and that was an idea that came about through my closest best friend AJ Rilan and his business partner Yanni Hagos. This is another conversation and business thing that came about through the idea of becoming a father. You know, me and AJ at that time, we recently got married. Our wives were pregnant, and you know, we had known each other because of that, because he was like, I don't know any other husbands and fathers. And I was like, I don't know any other husbands and fathers at my age. So let's just hang out together and like go on walks and talk about what's coming down the pipe. He's a restaurateur. He's been in the hospitality business for X amount of years, owning various bars and stuff. And he was just like, man, I'm exiting that era of like wanting to own the bar and the club. And now I want to own more family friendly things because I want to have places for my kids and their friends and stuff to be able to go. I'm thinking about doing a coffee shop. He took me to this old beat up tax office on Slauson and Overhill. And he was like, I think this could be a coffee shop. And I was like, I bet, here's my money. Like, I'm your first investor. So as we opened up our mom and pop shop, which is on Slauson and Overhill, and as we were opening our flagship store, which is in downtown Inglewood off of La Brea, that's when like Issa Rae got wind of us and was like, "This is dope. I want to be the face of this. Like, I'll invest in it. I'll bring my energy to it, my TV shows, my movies. Like, we can really blow this thing up." And it was like absolutely, like Issa Rae, take this and run with it. Especially at the time when Insecure was at full strength. The
Oh, yeah.
fact for her to become the face of Hilltop when she was be like onboarding herself to being like, you know, essentially our next Oprah. It was a phenomenal opportunity to have her part of Hilltop. So 5 locations, you know, got plans to open up more. down the road, but we do feel like we can be that coffee shop for us. Like we want to go into various markets in different cities and states and whatnot, but our whole thing is when you come in there, you know you're coming into a curated Black experience. You know, everybody's welcome. Like everybody's welcome. We're not turning away anybody like that. But when you come in here, know that you're coming into an elevated Black experience. Like we're not asking you for, you know, more money and giving you a lesser experience just by saying we're Black owned or whatnot. Like no, the experience is lines up with any other coffee shop out there.
Hilltop is on my list of places to visit when I go back to LA.
Come through.
It's my goal to be there next year, so I'm definitely going to make sure that happens. I want to transition. This is called 3 on 3. These are 3 topics, 3 questions, I should say. 3 questions. You give me your top 3 answers. I listen. I don't judge, and we go from there. All right. Give me your favorite 3 sports movies. It can be in any order.
Favorite 3 sports movies: The Program, He Got Game, and oddly enough, The Replacements.
I'm not gonna hold you. That's one of my favorite movies. The
Yeah,
Replacements is
yeah,
very good. It's a very good movie.
yeah.
Keanu
It's all
Reeves.
big, and I will say my if I had an asterisk, if I had another one, like I do love A League of Their Own, but yeah, Replacements to me is like it's just one of those things that the laughs are built in.
Man, and I always watch it when it comes on. Like I have to stop.
Yeah,
It's in one
yeah,
of those categories for me. Okay, okay. Let's go back to Hilltop real quick. Do you have 3 favorite coffee orders, or do you have go-to drinks that you use that you drink?
yeah. So I used to get the high honey. It's a like a honey latte. It's not on the menu, but if you order it, they know what you're talking about. It's just a honey latte, so a high honey.
Okay,
I've now transitioned more into like having the coffee be as close to the process as possible. So now I just do iced black coffee with like 2 pumps of vanilla, like just straight. That's what it is. And then when I'm feeling like okay, like I earned something, I'm gonna have some milk and some sweetener and extra sugar and all that. They have a really good vanilla and lavender latte at Hilltop. So, but my
nice.
go-to, my bottom is iced black coffee with 2 pumps of vanilla.
I'm not mad at it. It seems like you're cutting back on the sugar.
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah.
so I'm tapping in with that. Okay. Give me 3 of your favorite athletes turned actors. It's not a lot of them, but
Ooh, athletes turn actors. Yeah, that's good. Oh man, that's good. Thomas Jones,
yes,
Thomas Jones, running back who should be in the Hall of Fame. Shout out to Thomas Jones.
yeah,
He did
very
a
underrated.
short film. Yeah, he did a short film for us a few years back that did a phenomenal job in. And he's a self starter too. Like he's making his own stuff, producing his own stuff, writing his own stuff. So absolutely for him. Um, I think you can't not say The Rock
Right.
because the way that he became like Hollywood's go to guy is phenomenal. Unheard of, but Mahershala Ali did play basketball. He
True.
did play basketball, and the fact that he's able to like build a career that he had, become this go-to guy. Like I think it was 2 Oscars for Best Supporting Actor,
Hmm.
and then I know I'm going over with one extra, but hands down the greatest in terms of what they pick is Dave Bautista.
Oh, for
And
sure.
like in terms of category and
For sure.
intentionality behind what he does, like he'll do the big action thing, but he'll also do like the more like heartfelt, poetic, dramatic roles too. So I don't think there's a pro athlete that has chosen films and projects better than Dave Bautista in this
I,
industry
growing up, I was a wrestling fan. I did not see this for
hmm
Batista. Like
at
I could
all.
see him doing like the superhero type stuff, but
Yeah,
his range is amazing, and I did not see
it's
this coming.
absolutely, absolutely, and it was one of those things where it's like you can. I always joke that, and no knock to The Rock because like he is who he is, but there's like a 10-year run of The Rock where you can probably edit 10 like 5 to 7 of his movies together and get a completely new movie and not know that you like never seen this movie before because he's dressed the same in every movie. He's in the jungle, he's doing something. It's probably with Kevin Hart, and it's gonna be fun and good and all and loud and all that. But like You look at Dave Bautista in Blade Runner 2049, and his one scene alone is like, oh fuck, like you did
You
that.
could definitely see Dave Batista would probably get an award before the
Oh
role.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. The Smashing Machine, like The Rock he's changing up. He's working with
oh,
Martin Scorsese now. He's working with Benny Safdie. Like the Smashing Machine is coming out, and he there is conversation that he might get a Best Actor nod. He might
true.
get a Best Actor nod. So I'm not going to take that away from him. But it's going to be interesting to see The Rock into this new phase of his career, knowing he can't smash and beat and chase and
Right.
run and do all that. You saw he slimmed down a little bit now, and he's getting old. He's been
Getting
the
older, yeah.
man for 20, 30 years. We're going to see him slow down and be more specific with his roles. And that's what I'm really hyped to see, because when he wants to be, he is a good actor. It's
Absolutely.
just sometimes the muscles get in the way, baby.
True story. I want to ask you this. I call this give me more. From this day forward, what do you want more of in your life?
What do I want more of? At this point in my life, this specific time in which we're talking, more time to more time to think. I think that's it. Like I said, like we moved into a new home. I'm in grad school. Got a few projects with deadlines that we're hitting and whatnot. So more time to think and onboard just creative thoughts. I'm somebody that I recharge in isolation. I've just recently been told I was an introvert, which I was like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, just more time to think, to recharge, and to kind of like catch my pace again, because I have my center has been shaking a bit with like the move and everything. Um, yeah, that's it right there.
Hey, you might have to go a Tyler Perry route. You might have to go to Wyoming and just isolate
Might
yourself
have
for like
to,
a week
might have
and,
to.
let the deer run up on your porch and all that good stuff.
Exactly.
um, Another question, another couple, and we'll get out of here. Um, if you had to distill one principle that's carried you through every pivot, whether it's Hollywood, whether it's football, production, podcasting, whatever it is, what's one principle or what's one piece of advice that you would have for people?
Man, that's a great question, and I always lean on the idea that I like to get to a point where I am undeniable, whether that's
Oh,
in my sorry, damn fly again. Um, whether it's football, whether it's writing, producing, or whatnot, when I put my name on something, I want it to carry weight. So in order to do that, I have to like step up to the plate and do the things to make that a reality. So I'm not going to half-ass anything. Um, I can be better at not putting so much on my plate, so it doesn't feel like I'm carrying so much. But for me, it's just getting to that point where if somebody is this industry is largely built off of relationships, and I always say it's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's not who you know, it's how you know them. And for me, I have found how you know somebody, whether it's that funny interaction that you had in their office or at a party or whatever, that stays with them longer than you just going, oh, I know them. It's like, yeah, but how do you know them? I've had people, when we're talking through projects and names, and in the ideation process, it's always like, well, I can talk to such and such, I can get to him, and I'm like, how do you know them? They're like, oh, well, we met once at a party, and I'm like, man, you don't know them.
you don't know them.
Like, if you know them, you can text them, you can call them, you have an inside joke with them,
Yep.
maybe they on a group chat with you. So it's like, again, that's my one principle is one, become undeniable, but two, it's not what you know is who you know, but it's not who you know is how you know them. So yeah.
Man, that's good. All right, we'll close out with this. Can you let people know where they can find you, where they can find your podcast, where they can keep up with you? Let them know wherever.
Absolutely. So my personal handle on all socials is Paysinger, at Paysinger. So Pysngr. It's my last name without the vowels. But then also follow Higher Valley's podcast on Instagram. And yeah, there's something that we're building out. So like, follow, subscribe. We here, baby.
All that good stuff. All that good stuff. Um, who is one person that you know that I should interview?
One person that I know that you should interview. Um, I think Samir Hernandez would be a great interview. He's a producer out here doing a lot of great stuff in sports media. He's an Oscar winner for Two Distant Strangers. He's an Emmy winner for 38 at the Garden, the Jamie Lynn story, and he's one of my dear friends. Another person, I mean, get Jelani Jenkins on here, get the other side of Higher Valleys on here, and get his perspective, being a father, a husband, a creative, and he's found his flow as a cycling instructor now. But
Man,
also he's one of the foremost people that I go to when I need tips on meditation and how to center myself, because he's really done the work in getting there. So those would be the two. Yeah, those would be the two, and I'm pretty sure I can think of some more down the road, but
for sure.
those two are easy.
And I'm giving you the stage, shout out anybody who you want.
Anybody I want. One, I mean, in keeping true to Higher Valleys, I want to shout out all the fathers out there that, in spite of how the world is changing right now, you guys are showing up. You guys are being present with your kids. You guys are understanding, whether it's financial commitments or emotional commitments that you need to have with your loved one, your significant others. This is a turbulent time that we're in. So just shout out to all the fathers out there that are doing the work, that are not letting social media drive their emotional state throughout the days, weeks, months. So shout out to y'all. Then uh, my wife, I would definitely want to end this giving her flowers, especially these last few months, handling the everything from the home, keeping the kids in a place of love, with their schedules being kind of thrown for a loop in this big transition that we've had. She's somebody that has she's literally been the rock in the storm that does not move when it comes to this. I've had to lean on her multiple times, just juggling all my stuff, and she's strong enough to hold me down while holding everything else down as well. So, um, yeah, flowers to my wife, endless flowers to my wife.
Hey, why? Since we're here, shouts out to my wife. Thank you so much,
There you
Kiana,
go.
for all that you do. Shouts out to my son Kari, who's 4, just turned 4. Daddy loves you, and Kiana, your husband, loves you too. So I want to thank you, Spencer, for taking your time, joining me on More Insight. This is Insight you can trust because there is more where it came from. And I can't wait to see what you got coming down the road. If All American was just a pregame show, I already know that something bigger is happening. And I cannot wait to see what happens. All right.
Thank you. Thank you
Absolutely.
for having me. This is a great conversation. Can't wait to see it to come out.
Absolutely. So make sure y'all like, make sure y'all subscribe, make sure y'all share with a friend. Help us grow Higher Valley. Help us grow more street productions. Help us grow more insight, because we're just trying to grow a community and we're trying to be positive in a world that is full of negativity. So we'll see y'all, and we hope that this has inspired you. All right. Peace out.